way to college, where I picked up the sport of boxing, went to the Marine Corps and continued to train in boxing. And I had Marines that I trained. And that's when the passion for teaching and training really took over. Paul and I started our friendship about 5 years ago through a mutual friend and a connection, Hino. Once Paul started teaching his classes with Hino, I started teaching then at Church Street Boxing Gym. And Paul and I both were trainers there. And we had that commonality of the Marine Corps infantry. So that definitely helped the bond. My involvement with Trifecta deals with day-to-day operations. I think of myself as the guy behind the green curtain, like the Wizard of Oz. Paul has all the ideas and the mission and the vision and says, hey, here's what I want to happen. And I like to think of myself as putting those ideas, those visions into play.
Good evening, brothers and the public. We'd like to welcome you again to the 8th season of Q's on the Move podcast. Tonight, we have the distinct privilege to be interviewing one of the greatest chapters in the fraternity, the Brothers of Iota Mu Mu. And I have two of the brothers here tonight, the brother Basileus, brother Preston. Brother Preston, say hello to the people.
Hey, good evening and good afternoon. Well, good evening to everyone. And I bring you greetings from the Brothers of Iota Mu Mu, the Naval Academy Qs. Thank you for having us, brother.
Good stuff, brother. And our star for tonight is Brother Christian. Brother Christian, say hello to the brothers.
Greetings, brothers. Greetings to the public. I appreciate Brother Stevens for you having me here. And of course, Brother Basileus for this opportunity.
Oh, without a doubt, man. Well, I'm really excited about plugging in. As protocol states, I definitely have to give a shout out to our DR, District Representative, Brother Amir Sharif, the 39th 2nd District Representative. We're following his directive, as well as our Grand Basileus, Ricky Lewis, in putting on this podcast to let folks know, to tell our story, to let folks know what is going on in Omega Psi Phi fraternity, and specifically in the area of mentoring and fatherhood. So, Brother Bas, I'm so glad that we were able to connect and you were able to tell our story. Could you just tell us a little bit about you, brother? Where were you initiated, and how long have you been the Basileus of this phenomenal chapter?
Awesome. Thank you, brother. So I was initiated in spring of 2010, Iota Mu Mu chapter, Naval Academy Qs. Our chapter was actually chartered in 2008 in Crofton. Our area of operations spans across the DMV, but predominantly in the Annapolis, Anne Arundel County area. I've been the Basileus for going on the first year. I previously served as a KRS. Brother DR was actually the Basileus at the time of the chapter. So our chapter essentially, we build on partnerships across the corridor. We've had partnerships with Pi Gamma chapter in Prince George's County, the Mu chapter, who also operates out of Annapolis. And then we've been able to leverage our extensive network. Our chapter is predominantly comprised of Marine and naval officers. So we're unique in that we say we serve faithfully in air, on land, and sea. Brothers are spread across the globe, and they're always consistently reaching back. So we have about 111 brothers total on our rolls. And again, our outreach spans across the globe and across the nation.
Oh, that's great stuff, man. Well, you couldn't have found bigger shoes to fill to kind of follow that, brother. But I'm sure that you are knocking it out the box and going along with the flow of everything. I'm unfamiliar with, like, if you're on a military base, like what community do you serve? Do you serve military families? Are you in the area? Do you go off camp, off the base, on the base? How's that work?
Yeah, great question, brother. So we're in a unique situation in that we're a hybrid chapter, and that we have undergraduate brothers as well as graduate brothers. So for our undergraduate brothers who are actually at the Naval Academy, those brothers have an extensive myriad of STEM programs that they participate in with local schools across Anne Arundel County. And for our graduate brothers, our reach spans across the entire DMV. So not only do we serve military communities within the various bases that we serve, but we particularly try to target underserved communities, particularly in the Baltimore and Washington, D.C. area.
Good stuff, man. So I know a little bit about Baltimore. I got one of my best friends His name is David Miller, and he does a lot of work in that area. And he always talked to me about the variety of challenges that are confronted in that particular area. What do you say are the major challenges that you're seeing that the fraternity, and particularly in the fatherhood and the mentoring space, that we can kind of help that community?
Absolutely. So honestly, brother, coming from a chapter where the majority of the chapter is, military officers, if you think about the nation and the entire population, less than 1% makes up that active duty military population. So as the bosses of a chapter of, military men, I say that we're leaders of men. So it's our responsibility to not only go into the toughest areas, the roughest areas, and the most underserved areas, to essentially uplift, right? Bring those individuals, give them the resources that we have, lead from the front, and give voices to those who may not necessarily have them.
Oh, that's great stuff, man. Well, one of the things that I'm really excited about is the next brother that we're going to bring on. I was blown away. He sent me a couple of videos on the work that he's doing, and I just kind of want to introduce him to kind of give us a little flow of what he has. So I got brother Christian. Brother Christian, introduce yourself, man. What's your first name, last name? Where were you initiated at?
Hello, brother. My name is Gardea Christian, 2009, Iota Mu chapter, the charter line of the Iota Mu chapter, Naval Academy Qs.
Nice.
Was there in the area after I crossed for a few years. So, saw brother Preston make that cross those sands, and the brothers that followed. And so for me, went to the Marine Corps after I commissioned, after I graduated from the Naval Academy, went to Lejeune, Afghanistan. And now I'm here in New York. So I've seen, when Brother Preston talks about serving the community and being the leader of men and being in the military duty and now out of it, I've seen that work being done because I've done it, and I've seen those who've come after me and those who were before me do it as well.
Man, well, first thing I want to say to both of you brothers is thank you so much for your service to this country and this world, and particularly for our community. You are a bright light at that kind of continues to shine. So I want to kind of jump right in to the program that you're running, and it's with fitness. Kind of introduce us to it. What's the name of the program?
So our company is called Trifecta Strong, and that concept is the sport body mind concept. So holistic fitness, what we like to call life fitness, because it incorporates not just the physical, the lifting weights, the sprinting, the cardio, the calisthenics, but also the nutritional aspect and the mental aspect. When it comes to the program that we offer here, we do the group training in person, we do the private training and the one-on-one training, the semi-private, we do all that. But the key program for us right now is our accountability coaching program, because we realize that, yes, people want the in-person, and this, let me back up a little bit. So when we first started the company, pre-COVID, opening up a gym space. Luckily for us, the day we were supposed to sign our lease was the day that New York State went into lockdown. So if we had signed a day or two earlier, I wouldn't be here on this podcast talking to you, So when it comes to about timing, and God's time versus your time, right? Like we were like, oh, we want to get a gym, but God was like, hey, wait on it. So from there, we went to like the online training, the Zoom training.
Nice.
And we built a digital app that's available on iOS, iPad, iPhone, called Trifecta Strong. And then from there, we pivoted and we went into what we focus on now is accountability coaching. Because one thing we realized with the in-person training, with getting ready to open up a gym, with going to the Zoom training, the Instagram, the online training, then eventually getting back to the in-person training, the one commonality between all three of those was the accountability piece. People who knew what to do, who had a trainer before, who worked out consistently, who were former athletes, the accountability piece was missing. For people who didn't know what to do, who were like new to fitness, new to working out, new to classes, the accountability piece was the issue. So no matter whether you're a novice or expert, accountability, someone holding you to the programming, holding you to your goals, is what we realized everyone was missing. So that's our focus now when it comes to Trifecta Strong and our programming, is our accountability coaching program.
Man, I'm loving it, man. Because the work that we're doing with these boys, as well as the dads, really screams out for what it is that you're doing. as it relates specifically to mental well-being, how do you integrate mental health into the aspects of what you do?
It's in everything. You know,
Nice.
you've probably heard the saying of, you know, this isn't as physical as it is mental. It's more mental than it's physical, right? There's 90% mental tip, right? When it comes to fitness, when it comes to health, when it comes to holistic fitness, or as we like to call it, life fitness, that mental component is the most important piece of it. Because if you are not there mentally, physically you could look good, you could look healthy, but when it comes down to those metrics, right? When it comes down to the doctor saying, "Hey, we did your high blood pressure, or we did your blood pressure reading, it's high. We did your cholesterol reading, it's high." We see all these health concerns that we have for you. If you are mentally where you need to be, the physical follows, and it makes it that much easier. And that's with stress. That's with breath work, right? Mindfulness. And this is something I heard a comedian talk about in terms of mindfulness, right? Because mindfulness is, and me being in the fitness industry, something that I've seen increase over the years of people talking about it, right? But people like to sell it and package it as this thing, right? Like, oh, it's mindfulness. Like it's literally just being present. Like the three of us right here, we're on this Zoom, right? But we're not on our phones, right? We're paying attention. We're being present. We're not run. That's mindfulness, right? So when it comes to mindfulness from fitness, it's just being present, focusing on the task at hand. So if I'm in the gym, right, I'm listening to music, I'm working out, right? I have my do not disturb on. I'm locking everyone out. I've communicated, hey, these next 30 minutes, I will not be reachable. If it's an emergency, right, you have your contacts that if they need to reach you, you know, the family members, your loved ones who definitely need to reach you, they can reach out, right? But if it's not them, right, it's not that much of an emergency. Or one thing that I found with running this fitness company is most people will reach out to you for help or it's an emergency, when in reality, they just don't want to have to make that decision. So we talk about leadership, right? A lot of times it's like, hey, I'm not going to give you the answer. You figure it out. And eventually people will figure it out. But in their mind, it's like, oh, it's an emergency. It's not mine. It's not mine from an ownership standpoint. And that's a whole different topic of the mental aspect of giving people ownership, right? So when it comes to training, they come to me as the trainer, me as the coach, me and my company. Hey, I want you all to give me the answers. Like, we're going to hand in hand walk, right? Because everyone we work with, they sign a commitment policy. And in that policy, it's, hey, we are as committed to this as you are. So yes, we can give you the answers. We can give you all the tools to do what you need to do, but you still have to use those tools. You still have to apply those answers. So at the end of the day, that mental component is you saying, hey, I'm going to do it.
Got you, got you. And I see that, you know, the military, it seems like it's just ingrained in this whole piece. And I guess the way that the military, everything from boot camp all the way through individual training. And because I remember after high school, I went to the Army, and I spent my first 4 years between Texas, Korea, and Kansas. And I can remember the flow, like just you know, just getting up every single morning, you know, making the bed, doing the run, the PT, you know, just everything from chow. Everything had a place. And one of the cool things I liked about the military is that it seemed like they have a manual for everything. You know, even just how you tie your shoe or how you shine it. You know, how long your mustache could be. So that has had an impact on my life, and it's been heck, I don't know, 84 to 88. So it's been a minute since I was in the military, but I can still every single day those things are ingrained in me. Has the military had a similar impact on your life as it relates to the structure and helping you kind of put this thing together?
100%. So my co-founder and I, both Marines, so our foundation, like you were saying, that training, that disciplinary actions, the disciplinary lifestyle that we had in the military, we kept it with us. And it's one thing, you know, and you know, people always say, you know, once a Marine, always a Marine. There's no such thing as ex-Marine, because it's ingrained in us, almost to the point of indoctrination, right? And I like to think of it like the discipline that we have from the military is because of consistency, it's because of structure, and that's what we have brought to Trifecta Strong. So when it comes to resilience, when it comes to adaptability, those are things as Marines, being the smallest branch, right? We both were infantry, right? So being the smallest already, we have the least amount of money, we have the worst equipment, we have broken down equipment, and we have to do less. We have less, but we have to do more. So it's one of the mantras in the Marine Corps. We do more with less, and so we translate that to Trifecta Strong, doing more with less. It's not about being out here and lifting 1,000-pound club and that's great, right? But at the end of the day, we want you to be healthy, and we want you to be your healthiest, right? And it's going to take more than just throwing weights around, saying, "Oh, I lost a couple pounds," right? That mental aspect and that functional aspect, which is even more important, because we want you to be able to go out and walk your dog, and you have to clean up after your dog, and you're not holding your back. You know, it's a struggle to get out of bed in the morning. We want those aspects of your everyday life to be easy, but it comes from the structure, the consistency that we implement, and that discipline that becomes a way of life for you.
Gotcha. So it's something that's consistent. It's not just like a one day hit, but it's
Okay.
ingrained in you, just to kind of continue to kind of move forward.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I'm loving it, brother. With the focus on what we're pushing it for this particular podcast is fatherhood and mentoring. Are both of you brothers? And I'll go from you as well as brother Basileus. Are you brothers fathers?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So brother Boss, I'll start with you. This is something that the first Grand Basileus, first Vice Grand Basileus, I was on a call with him last night, and what they are, IHQ is really focused on for fatherhood mentoring, specifically on Father's Day, is asking all of the fathers, what is a life skill that you feel that is imperative for you to teach your children? I'll start with you, Brother Boss, and then I'll go to Brother Christian.
Great question. I would say mental toughness. I have a 5-year-old son and I have an 11-year-old daughter. Both are heavily involved in sports, and athletics. You know, playing for club teams and things along that nature. But life is tough. And I think, sports, my son plays football, he wrestles. So I highly emphasize the mental toughness piece, because, again, your physical readiness will allow you to react to bad things and good things and still remain even keeled. Because a lot of times I think, sometimes a person's physical condition, like, hey, this happened, someone passed away, and they have a heart attack because, again, they're either their physical condition isn't prepared or the stress level has them become overwhelmed. One of the things that we stress, so Iota Mu Mu Scholarship and Uplift Academy is the umbrella for a lot of our mentoring and STEM programs, and Trifecta Strong is a caveat of that. And then, Brother Stedman, who you'll talk to next week with Ironbound Boxing, these are all within that same umbrella. And all of these programs emphasize the mental toughness piece, because what's kind of happening now with a lot of our young men and women in our program and probably across the rest of the mentoring programs that they have is that they're kind of caught up in this. Everyone's looking at their phones, everyone's scrolling. Programs like what Brother Christian has, like we're getting these young men and women off the couch. They're getting outside, they're getting the road work in, they're doing combatives, like they're training and building themselves up to not only be mentally tough, in the arena, the sports arena, but in the classroom, right? In life. Right. So I think mental toughness would be the number one thing that I think we should instill. And one of the things I try to instill in my children.
Good stuff. Brother Christian, what's a life skill that you feel is imperative that you teach your child or children?
Well, I would say it's funny because I was going to say exactly what Brother Preston was saying when it comes to the mental health aspect, but it makes sense, being we're both from Iota Mu Mu and we're both Marines and we have that similar mindset of how we were trained, how we were developed, right? But it's about not only that mental toughness, but being an example and knowing mentally, okay, I know I can do it. Or I know that maybe I cannot do it right now, but I can learn how to do it, right? There's no such thing as, it's impossible or it can't be done, right? Somebody said that it couldn't be done, but the chuckle replied, right? We all know that poem, and that poem is something for me in my life and my son and with my clients, and something I reiterate to them, right? So for my son, it's a big thing of, hey, be an example. It starts mentally, right? Because as leaders, right? You have to lead from the front, and you lead from the front by being an example. But you can't be an example physically until you're an example to yourself, until you tell yourself, hey, I know I can do this. Hey, yeah, that's tough, but I'm gonna work at it, right? My son's 4 years old, and for me, I'm all about, since he's been, as soon as he had capabilities to walk and talk, I wanted him to be able to do things on his own. A lot of people told me, oh, you're pushing him too hard, too fast, but I needed him to have that confidence and the capability, because too often, this is no knock to any parents out there, but too often you see parents try to get ahead of their kids and, oh, let me do this, let me do that, instead of letting them work through it, right? They don't give enough time. It's like, oh, let's go, we have to get somewhere, right? Put your clothes on, and they're rushing, and they're not putting their pants on properly, their shoe on properly, their shirt on properly, so the parent just rushes and does it for them instead of saying this something they need to work on themselves, right? Breathing, calming themselves down, doing the breath work, right? Being present and saying, okay, hey, work through it. And then, yeah, the child's going to cry and get frustrated, but that's that mental aspect of knowing how to calm themselves down, right? Like Brother Preston said, Brother Basileus said, like being able to stay even keeled. Yes, it's frustrating. Yes, it's not going the way you want it to go, but mentally you need to understand, like, hey, okay, it's not going the way I need to go. Why? Let me figure that out. And I can't do that if I'm stressed and if I'm a high state of agitation. If I'm calm and relaxed, like, oh, I'm putting my head through the sleeve. I'm not putting my head through the head hole of the shirt, right? And then when you do that, you relax, you calm down, and then mentally, okay, boom, yeah, I can do it. And then that translates, because now you feel more confident because you were successfully able to overcome an obstacle. And now when you go out into the world, you feel more confident. Say, hey, guys, follow me, because you know you can do it, because mentally you told yourself you could, and then you follow through with those actions, because the mind precedes the body.
Great stuff, brothers. One of the things that we're doing in the chapter that I'm in, the Ada Pod chapter, is and one of the life skills that we're focusing on the kids. For our younger kids, we purchase bicycles for them every Christmas. We have a deal with Walmart, and they get us bikes and bike helmets and so forth and so on. After the first year of the bikes, we started to see that a lot of the boys didn't have the bikes at the end of the year. It's just like, well, what's going on? And some of them were throwing the bikes away because they had a flat tire, or worse, the chain came off the spoke, and they didn't know how to fix the bike. I think for probably all three of us, that was kind of like a given. You just took it to the gas station. You with the little inner tube joint. With the and you bought the thing from the hardware store, and it was a given. But the kids really didn't know how to do it. And so we have kids in our mentor program from 10 years old to 18. So the 10-year-old to the 14-year-old, we had a brother with Nork Bikes come out, and they taught the boys how to fix the bikes. In New Jersey is the one state, I think, in the whole country where you don't pump your gas. And so the kids, and they're not getting cars like we did when we was kids, like they're taking Uber and so forth and so on. And so they didn't know how to change a flat tire. They didn't know where the oil went, none of those things. And so we had some brothers from the Latino mechanic crew come out and teach the boys, the 15 to 18-year-olds, basic car maintenance. Because the worst thing in the world is to see a grown man in the car sitting and his wife is out pumping the gas, or he's sitting in the car and she's got the
tire jack,
the tire stuff, the jack and so forth and so on. That's horrible. So we're kind of really focusing on that, and I really dig what you brothers are doing with the exercise, the mental first, followed by the physical. And we are putting something together where we're sharing with the other chapters. This is what we did and how we did it. You can implement it, or we sometimes we may have a Zoom with brothers in other chapters where we just kind of go through some of the challenges that we had, so that they can kind of do something similar. Is there an opportunity for chapters throughout the country to get involved with Trifecta Strong and to emulate what you've done, or to find out how to kind of make what you're doing a part of what they do?
Oh, definitely, brother. So what I do, I have, and I think the link was up there earlier, but I have a link for a consultation, and I can do it with the brothers who are interested in implementing this program. If they have a fitness business, they have a fitness company. For those who are just interested in how to improve their health overall, right? I can also have that conversation with them, and the consultation is at no cost. So brothers, don't worry about a cost aspect of it, but it's definitely something that it can be implemented. And even if it's not something where they take my program, the accountability coaching, and implement it in full, they can implement it in part. So that's something that we can do.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And do you brothers have a website with all of the different programs on it? Or are you using social media? How do people kind of get to know what Iota Mu Mu has got going on, Brother Boss?
Yeah, great question. So we actually do have social media. So for those that have Instagram, if you just type in the Navy Qs, that will populate. As well as, like I said, it'll actually provide links to a lot of what Brother Gardea was expressing just now, and our umbrella of the various events and things that we have. So Navy Qs on Instagram will kind of point you to everything, including the website and everything that we have also.
Man, that sounds great, brothers. Well, one last thing I wanted to kind of just mention that will really kind of um, inspired me with the work that you guys are doing was something else that I heard um, the first grand speak about last night at the meeting was the IHQ is putting together a focus on reclamation. And what the first grand is asking every single brother to do is to reclaim one brother. This seems like something that can get bros back in the fold. What say you? I'll start with you, Brother Christian, and I'll go with Brother Boss.
Oh, this is definitely key to reclamation because, like I said, mind over body first, right? So you can't get them back to the chapter, back to paying dues if they're not where they need to be in life, right? If they're struggling financially, if they're struggling physically, right? Like that's going to be an issue, right? So for me and the Trifecta Strong Accountability Coaching Program, even within the brothers in our own chapter, like I reach out, like talk to them, say, hey, how's your health? How's your fitness? What's new? What's going on, right? Because it starts with the conversation. So that's one aspect of reclamation that can be done through this programming. Because if I come to you concerned about, like genuinely concerned about you, your health, right? It's much easier to have that next conversation about, hey, come back to the fold.
Got you. Brother Boss, your thoughts?
Yeah, great question. So I know, just kind of reiterating with Brother DR, Amir Sharif's, March to 5,000. I think this is a huge reclamation initiative. One of the things that I've tried to implement at our chapter is I call it meeting brothers where they are, right? So you meet bros where they at, and we talk about friendship first, right? So I think as part of being a friend and looking out for someone, not only their mental well-being but their physical well-being. Because again, we come from a chapter of extremely, extremely talented brothers, right? We have Harvard, Wharton, CEOs, millionaire, you name it, we have it in our chapter, right? So how do you get a group of individuals to want to be involved? And I think you first by starting by meeting brothers where they are, right? If they're uncomfortable with how they are physically, cool. We're Marines, we're Navy, we got Navy SEALs, we got whatever you want, we have it, right? We meet those brothers where they are, help them fix whatever they feel deficient, and then get them involved, right? Add them to a committee, add to something like what Brother Christian is doing, what Brother Steven is doing. We have several programs where we're reaching out to various youth across the nation. So we're meeting brothers where they are, and we're putting friendship first.
That's what's up, man. We got about a minute left. Brother Christian, I want to give you a minute to just shout out any upcoming things you got coming on. How do brothers get in contact with you?
You can find me on social media, GYJC Man, and just like we're being intentional with this podcast, like Brother Boss is being intentional with the chapter, like I'm being intentional with my company. I'm transitioning, especially with what's going on in the world, more towards Black-owned businesses. So I'm on IG, I'm on Spill for those who aren't aware. It's like essentially like the Black Twitter. I'm also on Fanbase, which is a combination of like Instagram and TikTok and all. But GYJCman is how you can find me on social media, on all socials. And then this link as well. Let's schedule a time, book a time, and let's have a conversation. And I'm very direct. So if you want to get a hold of me, you don't want to go through all those forms and through the socials, 646-906-0339, text, call, and we'll get in contact and we'll go from there.
Good stuff, Brother Boss. I'm gonna leave it out with you, brother. Just close us out. What anything coming up that you want the brothers to know about?
Yeah, so we're gonna post everything on, like I said, at Navy Q's. Several things, including Project Enrich with Gamma Phi. We have Q's in Annapolis that's gonna be coming up here shortly. The Corridor 1 Memorial Service. So look for the Navy Q's out there as well. And again, you know, it's springtime. We got districts coming up in Buffalo. So again, look for the summer white uniforms or the dress blues for the Marines out there. So you'll see the Navy Q's. Thank you again for having us, brother, and everyone have a blessed evening.
Great, that's good stuff, brother. So in closing, brothers, what we're doing on all of the social media outlets, we're asking all of the brothers as you make your posts to tag it a hashtag Omega Mentors. And that is going to go to a giant area. So any pictures, any videos, any updates, any calendars that you have focused on either fatherhood or mentoring, we're asking you to tag it with hashtag Omega Mentors. And so, brothers, the great work that's being done in your chapter, we started last week. We upped it this week. The brother that's got to come next week, he got big shoes to fill, dog.
Yes, sir.
So I'm
Yes, sir.
sure he's gonna step his game up, and we're gonna end Black History Month with a bang with the good brothers at Iota Mu Mu. I want to thank everybody out there that wish me good wishes. I was a little ill last week, but I'm back, and thank God for that. And I want to just thank everybody who sent me those warm thoughts and helped me get back on the square. So with that said, Darius, we are out, brother. Brother, stay on for just a quick second. Peace, everybody.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, Brother Stevens.